Hello, everyone. In this revision lesson today, I'd like to use the same paper that we did for the 4-mark question. This paper over here is, we had this paper in May, June 2023, and this was variant 3-2. This is for A2 Sociology, where we are tested on the unit education. So to begin with, this 26-mark evaluative essay question here, this 26-mark evaluative essay question, if we see, has a statement and we're expected to evaluate that statement. The statement over here reads that school curriculum reflects inequalities in society. School curriculum reflects inequalities in society. Now, this happens to be from topic, if I talk in terms of the syllabus, this is from topic number 3, and the name of the topic is influence on the curriculum. So evaluate the view that school curriculum, or the curriculum that the students come across at school, reflects inequalities in society. So in the support side, we'd be expected to show how the education system is unequal, or I'm sorry, how the school curriculum is based on inequality. And on the against side, we'd be expected to write down how the education system is not based on inequality. Not based on inequality. Now, what is not based on inequality, or what is based on inequality? We're talking about the school curriculum over here, right? The extent to which the school curriculum is a reflection of inequality, or the extent to which the school curriculum is not does not reflect inequality. If we have a look at the marking scheme over here, the marking scheme over here reads, knowledge is socially constructed and the powerful can exercise some control over it. Now, we're talking about how the education system can be an example of, or can be, or rather say, how the school curriculum can be a reflection of inequality. This particular point was initiated by Michael Young. If we talk about this particular point over here, according to Michael Young, in 1973. According to Michael Young in 1973, his research focused on who controls educational knowledge, that is the curriculum. And according to Michael Young, all knowledge, that is the curriculum that is taught to you at school, is a social construction. And when knowledge is a social construction, the powerful people, they are in a position, they have the power, position, and capacity to impose their construction on others. Or in other words, whatever these powerful people think is important, they would want that to be a part of the curriculum. Whatever the powerful people think should be a part of the syllabus, they would ensure that only that is a part of the syllabus. Now, as I talk about powerful people over here, I'm talking about subject specialists, I'm talking about politicians, I'm talking about examination boards. So Michael Young is that name that every student should know, should have in mind whenever they're preparing for their CIs in terms of the preparation for paper 3. When we talk about the topic influence on the curriculum, Michael Young has to be there. Now, taking this ahead, taking you back to where we were. Number 2, the correspondence theory. I'm talking about, we're just discussing points over here. I'm talking about the second point. The second point over here reads, correspondence theory of Bowles and Gintis, about the hidden curriculum. I'll highlight the name reference over here in yellow. The hidden curriculum is to prepare labor force for capitalism. Let's have a look at what Bowles and Gintis have to say about this. According to Bowles and Gintis, it is the rich, it's the elite that gets to it's the elite that gets to decide. Okay, so it's the rich, it's the elite that not only controls the formal curriculum, but at the same time, they are in a position to control the hidden curriculum too. Now, hidden curriculum, see, nonetheless is a part of the curriculum, because hidden curriculum comprises of all the experiences that students get to learn as they're a part of their educational journey. Now, when we speak about, or as we speak about Bowles and Gintis over here, you could write down about how Bowles and Gintis, in their theory that they came up with, if I'm not mistaken, 1976, how they spoke about the education system through the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum, right? Pick on the word curriculum over here. The hidden curriculum, through the hidden curriculum, the education teaches students to be submissive. The education students system teaches students to be submissive, to be docile, to be workaholic, to be obedient. The education system expects students to be subservient. The education system expects students to show submissiveness towards authority. Now, if the education system is through the curriculum, right? Through the curriculum. Now, school curriculum over here does not at all mean we're talking about academic curriculum. This also could mean the hidden curriculum, right? So Bowles and Ginters, through the correspondence theory, claim that the hidden curriculum is to prepare labor force for capitalism. Now, if the education system is making you achievement oriented, if the education system is making you submissive, if the education system is making you docile, if the education system is making you workaholic, if the education system is making you reward oriented, you're automatically being prepared for the capitalist system. And if you're being prepared for the capitalist system, if you're being prepared as an ideal worker for the capitalist system, this school curriculum does reflect inequality. Now, moving on, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I want to keep it a little short. Moving on to the third point, curriculum favors cultural capital of the privileged. The curriculum favors cultural capital of the privileged and the middle class. Let's use the color green over here so that I could use the color yellow only for references. So cultural capital of the privileged and the middle class, this could be done through the habitus. Yes, you could talk about Bourdieu, how Bourdieu came up with the idea of cultural capital playing a very important role. Now, as we speak about the cultural capital playing a very important role, you could pick on content from here. The neo-Marxists such as Bourdieu argues that the mechanisms of cultural reproduction are more varied and more subtle. Bourdieu's concept of cultural capital, for example, provides a significant mechanism for cultural reproduction that is carried out by the education system. Cultural capital refers to the different advantages and disadvantages granted by people's cultural histories. It was initially developed to explain differences in education achievement in terms of a range of non-economic factors that help or hinder individual achievement. A range of non-economic factors. Where did it go? So, a range of non-economic factors that help or hinder individuals' life chances. These include family history and status, and the extent to which family members invest time and effort in their children's social and education development. From this perspective, cultural reproduction works in the background of the education system. It is not its main or its only purpose, but is a significant purpose for those who understand and exploit the system. So, according to Pierre Bourdieu over here, I'll just show you more of content that you could exactly put to use. Now, you could write down about how Bourdieu thought that the education system is systematically biased in favor of the dominant social classes. Talking about the school curriculum in particular, the school curriculum is linked to cultural capital, the upper class, because of which the upper class receives highest education qualifications, due to which the working class life chances get restricted. And according to Bourdieu, in a nutshell, your curriculum is biased and is not neutral at all. So, according to Bourdieu, since there is no objective way to show that the dominant culture is any better or worse, the high value placed on dominant cultural knowledge stems from the ability of the powerful. The ability of the powerful to impose their definition of reality on others. So, this is pretty much in line with what Michael Young was claiming. The way education is transmitted through curriculum assumes that all students have a certain cultural capital. This advantage is this puts the working class individuals automatically into a very disadvantaged position. So yes, you could use Bourdieu over here, taking this ahead. If I take you back to the marking scheme, the next point, you could write down about the distinctions of hierarchies. The distinction of hierarchies between the academic and the vocational capital. The distinction of hierarchies between the academic and the vocational curriculum, right? Or the yes, towards the distinction of hierarchies over here. If we talk about Reynolds, according to Reynolds, academic subject, they say, requires mental labor, Non-academic subjects, they say, requires manual labor, and this distinction of academic and vocational subjects legitimizes class division. Now, because we see the working class being more involved into the working class non-academic subjects, and the middle class and the upper class, you'd see them more with with more into academic subjects. So this automatically, this distinction or this division is again, or can again be said to be playing a vital role in terms of reflecting inequalities in the education system. Taking it further, we could write down about how the curriculums are ethnocentric, how the curriculums are gendered, about the curriculums being ethnocentric. What does the word ethnocentric mean over here? The word ethnocentric over here refers to how your curriculum is devised, or the curriculum is written in a manner that it automatically helps certain members of certain ethnic groups over others. You could use this example by Foster and Nichols. They investigated influence of culture on content of textbooks. To do this, they studied 8 popular history textbooks, 2 books each from the US, England, Japan, and Sweden. They were trying to figure out the role that US had in World War II. And what they concluded was that any countries, any societies, any education systems, culture, history, and geopolitics played a very important role in terms of influencing the position of knowledge. In a nutshell, the way US books, or the way books from England, Japan, and Sweden, they explained the role that US had in the World War was very different, which automatically makes which automatically makes your what do you call it, your curriculum favoring a particular ethnic group or favoring a particular social group. We could take this ahead and we could talk about how the curriculum is gendered. You could write down about Reynolds in 1991, females are underrepresented in images in textbooks. Again, you could evaluate this. This study was conducted in 1991. Does the same happen today is a question. You could take this ahead. Educational knowledge is defined from a white male perspective. Achievement and struggles of females are usually omitted. Additionally, you could give an example of Dale Spender, what Dale Spender thought. Male knowledge is defined as important, female knowledge is defined as insignificant. I mean, you could go on and on and on. There's so much that could possibly be written in a question of this sort. So, like I said, I could go on and on and on, but that would make this video too very, the duration of this video would exceed. So you could write down about Michael Young. If you feel like you could give this a read, you could pick up content from here. You could write down about Bourdieu. I just showed you more of content on Bourdieu as well. You could write down about Bates and Riceborough. According to Bates and Riceborough, a major feature of vocational education in the UK is that most, that is white middle class students, they follow the academic route into professional employment, whereas white and black working class students are encouraged along the vocational route to lower paid, lower status work. So again, Bates and Riceborough, you could use this reference over here as well. I believe this is mentioned. Okay, yeah. So you have this reference over here as well. You could write down about Davies, how Davies thought that the youth training schemes have been, they've been abusing, or they've been using young individuals as slaves, right? Youth training schemes that got popular in the 1990s in the UK, where students who could not find a job, they were registered into youth training schemes, and it was more like an internship as you see it today. The promise was of training individuals, whereas Davies thought it was just a promise. It was just a stunt by the government to lower down the unemployment rates. So taking this ahead, you could write down about Self and Zeely. Self and Zeely is over here as well. I'm using the same marking scheme, right? I'm using the same marking scheme. I'm just trying to show you how you could put different things into use. And remember, it's not only about you knowing these references. I mean, there are enormous amount of references. You cannot be learning all of them. You are just expected to you're just expected to, pick up any three, any four, let's just say pick up any four for each side, and maybe learn them and learn how to develop them, learn how to elaborate on them. Remember, it's not only about you writing down about what Self and Zeely noted, but you should feel confident enough so that you could write whatever you think needs to be written, or you should write enough of detail to be able to explain what you the point that you're trying to make. So we have additional concepts such as vocationalism we've already spoken about. Hidden curriculum we've already spoken about. Cultural capital we've spoken about. Linguistic codes, so this we've spoken about. Credentialism and linguistic codes, I just show this to you real quick just to show you that all of this has been taught to you. All of this you're already aware of. It's just about putting the right knowledge to use at the right time. So what's constructionalism? This is pretty much in line with the concept that was put forward by Michael Young. Constructionism, the idea is that knowledge is produced within the context of powerful relationships. So your social class, your gender, your ethnicity plays an important role in terms of constructing knowledge, right? See, this is the same page, same slide where we spoke about Michael Young. About language codes. Yeah, codes. Whenever we talk about language codes, the first thing that should occur to you is Basil Bernstein. Having a look at what Basil Bernstein had to say about this. I shouldn't be misplacing it here. So where did it go? Basil Bernstein. Let me have a look. Here you go. You could write down about Basil Bernstein. You could write down about how Basil Bernstein back in the 1960s and 70s came up with the idea of restricted codes, restricted code versus elaborated code. According to Basil Bernstein, the working class is limited with the restricted code. Because the working class is limited with the restricted code, they end up this ends up reducing the chances of working class success in the education system. So again, if the education system is designed in a manner, if the education system is designed in a manner that it eventually helps out the rich, the elite, it is reflecting inequalities. Why is it not? So we done discussing all of these over here. I tried to keep it as quick as I possibly could. Now, moving on towards the against side of the debate. Most educational practitioners value truth and design curricula to impart knowledge and skills to enable students to think critically. I mean, you could write down about the functionist perspective. I just show you some of content on this as well. National curricula usually aims to provide a core for the same fundamental knowledge and skills to all students. You could write down about, so more or less, all of this revolves around the same. So you could write down about how the Social Democrats view of curriculum as a means of equal opportunity, and economic development. Inequality in experience of curriculum is mainly due to external factors such as material deprivation. So according to this particular point, let's not blame the education system, it's the social class of the individuals. Yes, you could write down about Durkheim, you could write down about Parsons. See, in this is against the view. Getting back to what the view again was, the view was this. The statement over here was this: the school curriculum reflects inequalities. So we writing down how the school curriculum now reflects inequalities. And I mean, we've written down about this in the support side. Now we're evaluating this, we're scrutinizing this. While scrutinizing this, we are writing down against this view. So if we talk about Chitty, according to Chitty, Chitty notes that seeing education and training as the means through which industrial societies are transformed from low skill, low wage economies into high skill, high wage, and technologically advanced economies. This is of course supporting the education system. This is of course supporting the curriculum of the education system as well. One, you could write down about Steiner schools. This is Chitty taken care of. This is Steiner schools. Steiner schools, what are Steiner schools? They're an example of an alternative approach to learning and the curriculum. When you talk about Steiner schools, they're more like schools that focus on the ability students have, and instead of pushing on students, letting every student learn according to his or her own pace and ability. So the curriculum over here reflects the needs of the child at each stage of their development. Children enter classes according to their age rather than their academic ability. The subject material is presented to an individual way that aims to interest the learner. Children are encouraged to discover and learn for themselves. Learning involves the development of practical, emotional, and critical capacities. See, I mean, this is the point that you should pick on. This is in line with the question that you have. Education system demands of the economy. Other factors influencing the content of the curriculum include the demands of the economy. For instance, functionalists you could use on this information as well. The education system has the role of producing the right number of trained and qualified workers that economy needs, a certain number of doctors, engineers, teachers, and so on. As these demand changes, so the curriculum will change. For instance, the changes that are made in the A levels sociology syllabus every now and then. You could write down more about this. You want to know more about functionalism? I'll just show you more about functionalism. According to the functionist perspective, the education system is designed to facilitate the economy. Here you go. About the functionist perspective, the functionist view of hidden curriculum. You could pick up content from here as well. Taking this ahead, or you could write down of the Marxist perspective if you feel like you want to write down about Chihu, you could write down about Chihu. That is, according to Chihu, students are educated primarily to acquire market-oriented skills in order to compete favorably in the global economy. So according to Chihu, all of this needs to be replaced. See, focus on this. Focus on the part of on the part from the reference that actually works in that actually works for you to be able to answer the question, right? So according to Chihu, the education system should be replaced. Knowledge and power should always be subject to debate. It should be held accountable. It should be critically engaged. Students should be taught to think critically. They should be taught how to become world citizens. So a lot of content that could possibly be put to use for a question of this sort or this nature. This is what the question looked like. You could write down about how the education system works towards bringing in social cohesion, how it works towards role allocation, Davis and Moore, how you could write down about knowledge-based economy. I just quickly show you knowledge-based economy, content on knowledge-based economy, while at the same time trying to not take any more time. So the economic demands and the curriculum. According to McDougall and Trotman in 2009, curriculum reforms are often a response to economic demands. So you're talking about how the curriculum changes because of the demands of the economy and not to benefit any particular social class. So you could write down in support of this, according to functionalists, the focus is on the economic requirements for a skilled, up-to-date, and a literal workforce. I mean, you could write down about the neoliberal approach. You could write down about the new right approach. So yeah, this is what could possibly be used in your answer. And we could have a longer lesson on this, but I think this is more than enough that a student needs to know. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.